What is happening, all you mentees? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today as I do an overview of Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel Years Omnibus Volume 4. So, please stay tuned. And welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to be looking at Volume 4 of the Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel Years Omnibus. This is all four of them together so far. There's a fifth one that's been solicited, and I can't wait for this, because as you all know, if you've seen my previous overviews, this is the first time I'm reading these stories. But I wanted to capture all of them together so you can see what they all look like together. So here's all the spines together. Of course, they use the original artwork down here instead of the modern art on the standard edition covers. Every one of these so far give the credit to the writer and the artist. I like that this is just mainly Roy Thomas and John Buscema. And then, of course, the title of the book and the volume number down at the bottom. And then the back of each of these Omnis. Each one of these, by the way, retail for $125. And before I go any further, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us a copy of this omnibus. It's already available in the direct market, and I believe it'll come to places like Amazon and Barnes & Noble here in about a week or so. This is the standard edition cover. This is the one that's drawn by Carlos Pacheco. There is a direct market cover, and that's the one here on your left. Like all of these, the direct market covers are only available at places like cheapgraphicnovels.com, In Stock Trades, Tales of Wonder, and your local comic book shop. These covers right here are available everywhere else. And speaking of covers, let's remove this dust jacket to see what's hiding under there. It's similar to all the other books. Spine looks the same as with the dust jacket. And then there's that symbol. So let's look and see what the Sumerian is up to in this volume. Let's get this open and take a look inside. You have those green bookend pages. Conan the Barbarian, that image drawn by, of course, the legendary Big John Buscema, who's the main artist on this book. Let's get to the table of contents. Actually, let's get to the credits here. Main writer is Roy Thomas. There's Ed Summer on issue 86 and Christy Marks on issue 113. And of course, the big penciler, Big John Buscema, makes his return with issue 84. There's something else special about issue 84, which I'll talk about here in a second. Then you have Tony the Zuniga, Ernie Chan, Sal Buscema, his brother. And Ernie and Tony were both of the big inkers for John. And then, of course, inkers and finishers, letterers and colorists, and then collection cover art. As I mentioned, the standard edition is Carlos Pacheco, and then the direct market is Big John Buscema. Here is the table of contents. So as you can tell from here, we have another introduction by Roy Thomas, and I'll talk about the contents in a second. But let's talk about the importance of these history lessons by Roy Thomas. One of the things I'm going to suggest, if you've never read this, and if you care about spoilers, don't read the introductions. Read the book first, and then come back and do the introductions. They are wonderful. They are such a huge history lesson. I have no idea how this man remembers specific moments in writing Conan. Not just writing Conan, but also what was going on in his life during the time. Sometimes he remembers why John Buscema was late on a story, why they had to use a backup story, or why he himself was running late. But he also remembers reading these Conan stories and adaptations. He wanted to adapt them properly. At one point, he's waiting for Marvel to reach an agreement with some copyrights of other material of Conan that wasn't Robert E. Howard's. And it's just amazing that he remembers where he was, how he was feeling. There's a funny story about issue 100 in here with one of my favorite writers, Harlan Ellison, who was also a fan of Conan the comic book. And I'll let you read that on your own. We have the Hyborian Age here, the map that we always kick off with, and issue 84. So two things about this issue, and then I'll talk about the contents. Number one, this is the first appearance of Zula. And if you're not familiar with the comics and have seen the movies, it is a character that's played by Grace Jones in the movies. And then he was in the cartoon as well. But the other important thing about this is, I don't know if any of you all did this. Maybe I thought I was just trying to be the cool kid. But this book was released on March of 1978. That's when this comic book came out. That is the date I was born. I was born in March of 78. So when I was in middle school and in high school, I tried to go back and get every single title, no matter if I read it or not. March of 1978. I don't know what I thought. I thought I was going to make a collage on my wall. Whatever kids or the youth thinks they're going to do with these things. That's what I was trying to do. I don't think I even opened this book, but I did manage to get a really rough copy at a local comic book shop. And opening it up now for the first time, it just makes me mad that I never tried Conan, like back when I was in middle school. Why didn't I open the book up and try to read it? Because I would have been blown away. Because I got into the cartoon, I was into the movies, and eventually I got into the Dark Horse era. But for some reason I was stubborn and didn't open it up until I got these new Omnis from Marvel. So this is my very first time reading it. I've read about 5 of these already. Oh, they're so good. And of course, Roy Thomas spoiling what happens in a certain issue for me. But that's okay. He's the man. And these stories, you know what? Happened 40 plus years ago. So I'm okay with spoilers for things like this. As you've probably noticed, like all the other Conan Omnis, they do contain the letter pages. And we'll keep going through here. Here is what Zula looked like, by the way, at first. And then they, of course, change his color within, I think, the next issue. Here's all the letter pages. Yeah, and within the next issue, this is what he looks like then. So it's the return of Beylit and Conan together again. They meet new friends. There's new characters that are introduced. There's some bad guys that he's been talking about, but he's never actually physically faced that come into play. And all of this is leading into the issue 100. And if you read the introduction, you know how long Roy Thomas has been planning this huge 100th anniversary issue. And it is, I can't believe he's been planning it for years. It's crazy. So here's more of this wonderful artwork by Big John. And of course his inkers. And it wasn't until reading these introductions that I found out that John was not a fan of the inkers working on his book. He wanted to ink his own books. But Roy Thomas made the decision to have... I mean, I'm a fan of Ernie Chan and Tony DeZuniga inking his art. I think they're wonderful finishers. But for some reason, Big John wasn't. So it was a rarity sometimes to actually get a John Buscema pencils and inks on covers like so. Of course, the internal stuff was mostly inked by Ernie Chan, who I thought was Kismet. Apparently, John Buscema had an issue with it. Here's another rarity of John penciling and inking his own stuff. Oh, and then you have the return of, what was the lion's name? Shola. I haven't read this yet. So here is Shola. I think that's his name. He was from those Lion, that arc. I cannot recall. But you know what to expect by now when I say Roy Thomas and John Buscema. Sadly, and I gotta be careful here. There we go. Let's keep going. This is the final part of Roy Thomas's stories for Conan for now. This is where he ends up leaving the book. So this contains issues 84 through 115 of Conan the Barbarian. And then annuals 4 and 5, and I'll talk about those here in a second. And then What If number 13. So he finishes his run with Conan on issue 115. Now he ends up coming back, I want to say later on, like in the 200th sometime. Now Big John, I know he stays because I did a little research on that when I first started reading these. He stays all the way up until 190, off and on, right? Not drawing every single issue. But let's keep moving and get to these annuals to talk about them. The book, by the way, has 848 pages. Here we are in the back. Here we have Conan the Barbarian annual number 4. And then a year later, in 1975, Conan the Barbarian annual number 5. These both serve as a sequel to the Hour of the Dragon storyline. And it's pretty interesting because I've read Hour of the Dragon all in one sitting because of this wonderful trade paperback. And there's nothing wrong with reading them out of sequence or out of order. But I think this trade paperback is so awesome because this has them in the chronological order that you need to read the books in. And that's Conan, The Hour of the Dragon. I'm surprised they didn't do an oversized hardcover of this. You know, they even colored for the first time, the Savage Sword of Conan issues to match the color of Conan the Barbarian. That's really cool. But I wanted to point that out, that both of those are still in here, written by Roy Thomas. And I think Roy Thomas still has some issues in the next omnibus. I want to say it's J.M. DeMatteis that takes over the run. But here's the classic What If. Again, this is the exact same team. John and Ernie, man, they were just together all the time in the 70s. But this is What If Conan the Barbarian walked the earth today. And if you've read Savage Avengers, you kind of know the answer to that. I always love going back and talking about these what-if stories from the past that have actually come true during current times. But here it is, again, the team of Roy Thomas, John Buscema, and Ernie Chan. Now, let's look in the back here for some extras. You have a couple of house ads. Here's the Marvel Treasury Edition, which served as reprint, and of course the back cover of that. More of house ads. Some pinups. The Ballad of Balit. Okay, I had to skip some pages because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. There are also some afterwards here by Roy Thomas, and I think those were originally printed in the Dark Horse trade paperback collections. Yeah, these right here, the Roy's Ramblings. But please correct me if I'm wrong because I did not have those. But there's a lot. So, where he talks about each of the stories. That man loves to write. I'd love to meet him. I wonder if he talks just like he writes. And then there's the Carlos Pacheco variant cover, standard edition cover, in case you have the direct market cover only. And that, as they say, is that. Now, if you're interested in this book, you can purchase it from our sponsor,
cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off the cover price. Cheap Graphic Novels prides itself on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. And check out their bargain bin for even greater deals up to 90% off cover price. And for you minties, Cheap Graphic Novels is running a special promotion. If you're a first-time customer, let them know you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. Now, this is only for U.S. customers. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discounts, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more.
And that was the page count, the content, and the build of this omnibus. Let me know in those comments down below if you've picked it up, if you're looking forward to picking it up, if you managed to get all the other Conan omnis. I would love to know all those comments down below and what you think of Conan. Do you prefer Savage Sword or do you prefer the original Marvel Years? And what are your thoughts on other series like King Conan? It would just take 2 omnis, I think. But anyway, this was the Uncanny Omar. Please don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We can be found on Redbubble and on Patreon. Those are amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. More importantly, please everybody stay healthy, stay safe out there, and much love to all of you.